What happens to us after our final breath? Well, this is a question that has echoed through the hearts and minds of humanity for thousands of years, a gentle, persistent whisper beneath the noise of our daily lives. Some will tell you with certainty that death is a final, silent end, the closing of a book. Others will speak with equal conviction of a doorway, a transition to a new and unseen chapter of existence. We find ourselves standing before a great mystery, and in this shared uncertainty, we are united. It is this very mystery that invites our curiosity, that nudges us to look beyond what we can see and touch, and to listen to the many stories told across time and across the world. These stories, though they come from different lands and different ages, often sound strangely alike. A common thread seems to weave through the tapestry of human belief about the afterlife, creating patterns that are difficult to ignore. This similarity doesn't offer us proof, but it does offer us a profound sense of connection. It suggests that perhaps, in our deepest moments of contemplation about life and its end, we are all tapping into a shared well of human experience. It is a quiet hum of recognition that spans cultures and generations, making us wonder if there is a universal truth waiting to be understood, just beyond the veil of our ordinary perception. When we approach this topic, we do so not with the aim of finding a single, definitive answer that satisfies everyone. Such an answer may not exist, or it may simply be beyond our current reach. Instead, our purpose is to walk together for a little while, exploring the landscape of what has been thought, felt, and reported. We will journey with an open heart and a respectful mind, honoring the diverse paths that people have taken to make sense of this ultimate transition. We will listen to the wisdom of the ancients, consider the surprising accounts of modern times, and hold a space for the questions that science is just beginning to ask. So, let us begin this exploration not as a debate to be won, but as a shared meditation. Let us set aside our certainties for a moment and allow ourselves to simply wonder. What if the end is not an end at all? What if it is a journey? By asking these gentle questions, we create a quiet space for reflection, a space where we can consider the possibilities without fear or judgment. This is an invitation to look deeply into one of life's most enduring and meaningful questions, and to see what it might teach us about how we live our lives right here, right now. Long before our modern world took shape, our ancestors were already wrestling with this profound question. In the fertile lands of ancient Egypt, they developed one of the most elaborate and detailed visions of the soul's journey after death. They did not see death as a sudden stop, but as the beginning of a complex and perilous voyage through a spiritual realm known as the Duat. Their sacred texts, like the Book of the Dead, were not just stories. They were guidebooks, filled with spells, filled with instructions. The soul, they believed, would have to pass through a series of gates, face powerful deities, and answer for its time on earth. The central event in this Egyptian journey was the weighing of the heart. The deceased would stand in the Hall of Two Truths before the god Osiris and before other divine judges. The heart of the deceased, believed to contain the record of all their thoughts and deeds, was placed on one side of a great scale. On the other side was a single feather, the feather of Ma'at, representing truth, justice, and cosmic order. If the heart was heavy with misdeeds and balanced against the feather, the soul faced annihilation. But if the heart was light and pure, it would be granted passage into the eternal paradise of the field of reeds. This ancient Egyptian vision, with its intricate details and moral framework, reveals a deep-seated belief in accountability and continuity. It tells us that they saw life and death as inextricably linked. The immense effort they put into their funerary rituals, the mummification of the body, the creation of elaborate texts, was all born from a conviction that the journey of consciousness did not end with the body. They wanted to prepare their loved ones to give them every possible advantage for the next stage of their being a testament to their enduring love and their profound respect for the soul. Looking at these ancient beliefs, we see more than just superstition. We see a sophisticated attempt to map the unseen. The Egyptians provided a clear structure, distinct stages, tests of character, a final judgment based on one's life, and the possibility of a blissful continuation. Far from the deserts of Egypt, in the high mountains of Tibet, another profound and intricate map of the afterlife was being drawn. The journey is not through a physical underworld, but through the landscape of the mind itself. This intermediate state, the Bardo, is the gap between one life and the next. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bardo Thodol, is read aloud to the dying and recently deceased. It serves as a guide through confusing and overwhelming post-death experiences, a compassionate, practical manual for the final journey of consciousness. The Bardo can last up to 49 days and is divided into phases. Immediately after death, consciousness may meet the clear light of reality, a moment of pure primordial awareness, boundless luminosity, and emptiness. For practiced meditators, this can be an opportunity for enlightenment and liberation. For most, the light is overwhelming. Consciousness may recoil and turn toward more familiar experiences, continuing through the Bardo's stages. Next comes a period of visions, peaceful deities, wrathful figures. These are not external beings, but projections of the mind's latent karmic tendencies. Peaceful deities, pure aspects of one's enlightened nature. Wrathful figures, mind turbulent, unresolved aspects of the psyche. The key instruction: recognize everything that arises. Memory, powerful emotions, the projection of one's inner world. No matter how beautiful or terrifying, see it as a manifestation of your own mind. Recognition is the key to navigating the Bardo without fear and to a favorable rebirth. Like the Egyptian view, the Bardo maps a journey with clear stages and purpose. But its focus is psychological, inner experience over external judgment. Now let us move from the ancient world into our own time, where we find these old echoes resonating in a surprisingly modern context. In hospitals and homes around the globe, people who have been declared clinically dead or have come perilously close to it are returning with extraordinary stories. These accounts, now widely known as near-death experiences (NDEs), provide a contemporary window into what might happen when life hangs by a thread. Though each story is unique, researchers who have collected thousands of reports have discovered a remarkable consistency in core elements, creating a pattern that's difficult to dismiss. One of the most frequently reported features is a profound and overwhelming feeling of peace, calm, well-being. Many people say that in the moment they believed they were dying, and a deep sense of tranquility washed over them. This is often accompanied by the sensation of leaving the physical body, sometimes described as floating above the room, observing the scene below. Their own inert body, the frantic efforts of medical staff with a sense of detached curiosity. This out-of-body experience is often vivid and clear, leaving people convinced their consciousness is separate from their physical form. Following this, many describe traveling through a darkness often likened to a tunnel, toward a brilliant, welcoming light. This light is not harsh or blinding, but is described as filled with unconditional love and acceptance beyond any human comparison. It is a light of pure being, a presence both personal and infinite. For many, encountering this light dissolves any remaining fear of death. They feel as though they've returned home to a place of ultimate belonging and safety, a feeling that often stays with them long after revival. These accounts come from people of all ages, cultures, and beliefs, including atheists and agnostics, and present a fascinating parallel to the ancient maps we explored. The journey through a dark space, the encounter with a powerful light or being, and the overwhelming feelings of peace and love, these are not new. They mirror descriptions of the Egyptian field of reeds and the Tibetan clear light. The fact these experiences are reported spontaneously today by ordinary people in clinical settings provides a powerful, living echo of the wisdom our ancestors tried to capture in their sacred texts. Naturally, the scientific community has approached these remarkable reports with a healthy dose of skepticism, seeking explanations within the known framework of biology and neuroscience. How can we explain these vivid, structured experiences? One of the leading physiological theories suggests that NDEs are a product of a brain under extreme stress. During a cardiac arrest or other life-threatening trauma, the brain is deprived of oxygen, which could trigger a cascade of neurochemical events. The release of endorphins could explain the feelings of peace and lack of pain, while activity in the temporal lobe could generate the sensation of a tunnel, and activity in the visual cortex could generate a bright light. This is a plausible and logical line of inquiry, and it may well account for some aspects of the experience. However, this model faces significant challenges when confronted with certain, more perplexing details from NDE reports. For instance, a number of cases involve what researchers call veridical perception, where the individual accurately reports specific details of events that occurred while they were unconscious and, in some cases, clinically dead with no measurable brain activity. They might describe a specific medical instrument used, conversations between relatives in a waiting room down the hall, or even a unique object, like a shoe, on a hospital roof ledge that they could only have seen from a vantage point outside their body. If consciousness is nothing more than a product of brain function, how can it continue to perceive and form memories when the brain itself has effectively shut down? This question has pushed some researchers to consider more radical possibilities. They are forced to ask whether our current understanding of consciousness is complete. Perhaps consciousness is not strictly generated by the brain, but is instead something the brain receives and processes, much like a television receives a broadcast signal. In this model, the brain's failure wouldn't necessarily mean the end of the signal, only the end of its reception by the physical body. This is where science stands today, at a fascinating and humbling threshold. The existing data from near-death studies does not prove the existence of a soul or an afterlife, and we must be careful not to overstate the claims. But it has undeniably complicated the simple picture that consciousness is merely a byproduct of brain chemistry. It has opened the door to new and challenging questions, inviting scientists and philosophers alike to think more deeply about the nature of the mind and its place in the universe. The mystery remains, but the inquiry has become richer and more compelling than ever before, reminding us that there is still so much we do not know. Among the most profound and transformative elements reported in near-death experiences is the phenomenon known as the life review. This is far more than a simple replaying of memories like watching a movie of one's life. Survivors describe it as a panoramic, instantaneous, three-dimensional reliving of every moment of their existence. But what makes it truly extraordinary is the shift in perspective. They do not just see their own actions, they experience them from the viewpoint of every person they ever interacted with. They feel with perfect clarity the joy, the comfort, the pain, the hurt that their words and deeds caused others. This is not described as a judgment from an external source, not a God on a throne pointing a finger. Instead, it is a direct, unmediated experience of the consequences of one's own life, a lesson in empathy at the highest conceivable level. A person might relive a moment of casual cruelty from their childhood and feel the sting of that cruelty in the other person's heart. Conversely, they might experience a small, forgotten act of kindness they performed and feel the warmth and gratitude it sparked in the recipient's soul. It is a deeply personal and illuminating process, focused not on punishment or reward, but on pure understanding. The impact of this empathetic life review is almost always life-altering. People who return from such an experience are often fundamentally changed. They come back with a powerful new sense of purpose, centered on love, kindness, interconnectedness. The pursuit of material wealth, status, power often falls away, replaced by a deep desire to serve others and to live a life that creates more joy than sorrow. They understand, on a cellular level, that every action, no matter how small, sends ripples out into the world, and they become intensely committed to making those ripples positive ones. The fear of death is often replaced by a simple, guiding principle: to love. Beyond the well-documented patterns of NDEs and the wisdom of major world religions, there exist other, more subtle and lesser-known theories about the soul's journey. These ideas offer different ways of thinking about the self and its continuation after death. For example, some animistic and shamanic traditions around the world hold a belief in soul splitting. They propose that what we think of as a single, unified soul is actually a composite of several parts. After death, one part might return to the earth, merging back into the life force of nature. Another part might travel to join the collective spirit of the ancestors. A third, the core consciousness, may continue on its own journey into other realms or toward a new incarnation. This view offers a beautiful and complex vision of our connection to the world. It suggests that even in death, we do not simply vanish. We are redistributed, continuing to exist as part of the natural world, as part of our family's spiritual heritage, and as a unique consciousness on its own path. In the realm of modern speculative science, even more radical ideas are beginning to emerge. A handful of physicists and consciousness researchers are exploring theories that link consciousness to quantum mechanics. One hypothesis suggests consciousness might be a fundamental property of the universe. Another idea is that our brains act as biological quantum computers, localizing that consciousness. When the brain dies, the quantum information that constitutes consciousness is released back into the cosmos. These are, of course, highly speculative. They are not proven theories, but are thought experiments. Attempts to build a bridge between the physical world we can measure and the subjective world of experience. They are the dreams of a new kind of science, one that entertains deep entanglement of mind and matter. While we must approach such ideas with caution, they remind us the story of science is not over. They invite us to remain open to future discoveries that could radically reshape our understanding of what it means to be. One of the most consistent and striking after effects reported by those who have had a near-death experience is a dramatic reduction, and often a complete dissolution, of the fear of death. For most of us, mortality is a source of deep-seated anxiety, an unknown future that we naturally dread. Yet for those who have touched its edge and returned, this fear is often replaced by a sense of calm acceptance and even curiosity. They speak of death not as an enemy to be fought, but as a natural, peaceful, and meaningful transition. So what is it about this experience that has the power to transform one of our most primal fears? Some scientists would point to a biological explanation. As mentioned before, the brain under duress can release a powerful cocktail of endogenous chemicals, including painkillers like endorphins, and perhaps even DMT, a potent psychedelic compound. These substances could certainly create profound feelings of peace, euphoria, and detachment, effectively overriding the brain's fear response. From this perspective, the loss of fear is a neurological illusion, a final comforting trick played by the dying brain. This explanation is neat and aligns with a materialist worldview, but for many experiencers, it feels incomplete, failing to capture the cognitive clarity and enduring nature of the change they undergo. Another perspective, offered by the experiencers themselves, is that the change comes not from a chemical reaction but from a profound shift in understanding. During the NDE, and particularly during the life review, they are shown a bigger picture. They come to see life and death as part of a much larger, purposeful continuum. The unconditional love they feel from the light and the deep learning that comes from seeing their life through the eyes of others reorients their entire value system. They realize that love is the only thing that truly endures, and that the essence of who they are, their consciousness, is not extinguished by physical death. This knowledge, they say, is what truly sets them free from fear. This transformative process also has lessons for those of us who have not had such an experience. Modern psychology has found that even just contemplating mortality in a mindful way, a practice known as terror management theory, can lead people to live more authentic and meaningful lives. Thinking about our limited time can clarify our priorities, encouraging us to invest more deeply in our relationships, to forgive past grievances. So, we arrive back at our original question. Having journeyed through ancient tombs, Tibetan mountains, modern hospitals, and even the speculative realms of quantum physics, what happens to the soul after death? We have seen that there is no single simple answer that encompasses all of these diverse perspectives. Some say it is an end, a return to silence. This view encourages us to find all our meaning in the precious, fleeting moments of this one life. This is a valid and powerful path, lending a unique urgency and beauty to our every choice and every connection we make. Others speak of a journey, a continuation. The ancients gave us maps of judgment and paradise. The Tibetans provided a guide through the landscape of the mind. And modern near-death experiencers tell us of a passage toward a loving light and a transformative life review. These stories, echoing across millennia, suggest a continuity of consciousness, a survival of self beyond the physical form. Science, in its careful and methodical way, adds its own voice, one of caution, but also one of growing curiosity, as it encounters puzzles that challenge its old certainties. No single view holds a monopoly on the truth. Perhaps then the true value of this question lies not in finding a final answer, but in the search itself. The act of asking shapes how we choose to live our lives today. It influences how we comfort a friend in grief, how we sit with the dying, and what values we hope to pass on to our children. It is a question that calls for humility, that asks us to listen more than we speak, and to respect the beliefs of others even when they differ from our own. It invites us to hold a space for mystery, to be comfortable with not knowing, and to find peace in the shared human condition of wonder. The echoes are all around us, in the compassionate focus on empathy during the life review, in the similar stages of a journey described by cultures worlds apart, and in the universal transformation from fear to love reported by those who have come close. These patterns do not give us a conclusion, but they give us a direction. They consistently point toward the profound importance of kindness, connection, and love. Perhaps the best answer to this great question is not a description of the destination, but one that helps us walk our own path with a more open and loving heart. And so, the question returns to you, not for a final answer, but for a quiet moment of reflection. What do you think happens after the final breath?